This segment of CoastLife is sponsored by the Parker Group.
Well, it is a new year here along coastal Delmarva, and there's new news in the world of real estate. That's why we've brought in the experts. We've got Rachel and Dustin Parker of the Parker Group. And yeah, new year, starting off with some big changes, huh?
Just like last year.
Yep.
Lots of big moves in the real estate market.
So what is the latest thing that's going on, and how are we kind of seeing that affect the real estate market at large?
Yes, it's an interesting time in real estate. The last 3 years have really been kind of more of the same. You know, the market's been kind of flat. Home prices have been pretty flat after we've had, you know, massive appreciation kind of leading up to that period of time. But it seems like Washington is finally beginning to take notice that affordable housing is a major issue. And so there's been some recent discussion about possibly Fannie and Freddie Mae buying down mortgage bonds up to $200 billion, which in effect could reduce mortgage rates as much as a half a point. So right now we're averaging right around 6.2% or so. So we may creep into the fives if this comes to fruition over the next couple months.
Which obviously makes a huge difference in a monthly payment. So
yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
exciting.
And what else is there happening in that regard that affects, you know, buyers, sellers, or, you know, is now even a good time to be a buyer, a seller in the real estate market, or even if you're interested in becoming a real estate agent?
Yeah, one thing that's really promising, another big piece of news that came out recently, is that there's talk about banning these large institutional investors from coming in and buying up big blocks of single-family homes. And that's really good news for home buyers in particular. With limited inventory, it's been really hard, especially for first-time home buyers, to compete in the market when you're competing against people that are maybe older than you and have more equity, or these large institutions. It's been really difficult. And so that would also really free up some inventory and just some space in the market for buyers.
Yeah, I feel like millennials were like, finally,
it's our
could
time.
it be happening? Because it does feel like, you know, it feels, at least for me personally, that I should be approaching these big kinds of milestones of being able to be a first-time home buyer, and it's felt like it's just out of reach every single time. And how can you compete? Because you're like, I have nothing.
Well, it's not just you to make you feel better. It is across the board. The average or the median first-time home buyer is 40 years old now.
Right.
And that is just mind-boggling. It's been in the late 20s for decades.
Yeah, well, that does make me feel a little bit better. You know, we can all breathe a little bit. Then we're like, okay, it's not just us. But, you know, for folks that are maybe looking for a change, it is a new year. Perhaps a new job is on the horizon for them. If they want to get into the world of real estate, is now a good time?
Yeah, so like I said, the last 3 years have been really tough for real estate agents and those that are looking to buy or sell in the industry. There's been so few transactions. It's been some of the fewest transactions in our nation's history, at least in the last 30 or 40 years or so. But we are finally beginning to see the light. I think that we are going to come out of this through kind of a slow thaw, is what most experts are predicting. I do think that sales are going to increase this year. But those agents that have been working to kind of build the skills necessary so that they're not just order takers, you know, in a really hot market, but they know how to negotiate. They know what to look for and how to help buyers and sellers through this really challenging process. I think they're going to really thrive in the upcoming years as the market begins to improve. But if you're thinking about getting into the industry, I think it's also a great time now to begin building those skills before things could potentially get crazy again in the next couple of years.
Sure, you're also maybe building a more realistic set of skills right now in the real estate market, as opposed to maybe when it was, you know, everything was selling and you blinked and you said, darn it.
10 offers and
right. Yes. Exactly. And I know for you guys at the Parker Group, you know, you hold the hand of your new agents. You don't necessarily have to have a real estate experience specifically. And so you guys, it's really never a bad time to become a real estate agent with you guys at the Parker Group.
Yes, completely. We do trainings every single week at the Parker Group. And that's because, as we've been talking about, the industry is changing so quickly, not only market conditions, but technology, these big moves with the government and the private sector. And so it's more important than ever that people are really staying on top of the industry and being well educated for their clients.
There you go. So is there anything else or any other ways that this news could affect maybe buyers or sellers, you know, kind of going forward in the coming year?
Yeah, I would just say continue to kind of pay attention to what's coming out of Washington, because there's certainly going to be influence in terms of the housing market over the next year or so, and depending on what decisions are made and what actually comes to fruition and what's just rhetoric, I think will certainly indicate how well the market's going to do in the next year or so.
There you go. So we got some fingers crossed for some potentially good news coming our way if you're a buyer, a seller, or if 2026 means a job change for you and that is real estate. Make sure you check these guys out. Rachel and Dustin Parker, thank you so much for coming in today, and thank you for always keeping us up to date and informed on everything going on in the real estate world. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We've got more Coast Life coming your way that we know you'll appreciate when we get back.